You're listening to the Oddities podcast.
All right, welcome everyone to the Oddities podcast. This is the first live podcast that we're doing at the Oddities coffee shop. We're going to be doing this potentially every month. This is the first one we're doing. And I'm here with Savannah Flynn.
Yay.
Savannah, thanks for doing
Hi.
this. So you are an organic farmer here and where is your farm located?
Everson, Washington.
Now, before we dive into that, where are you from originally?
Oakland, California.
And what brought you up to this area?
The military.
Now, you were in the Army for 6 years, is it?
Mm-hmm.
And what did you do in the Army?
I was in a signal unit.
And what does signal unit do?
I was a radio girl, so I did 25 uniform. So we just set up like a couple antennas and
And
yeah.
how was that experience?
It was good. It set me up, I think, for the long term.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what's happening now.
And what got you interested in joining the Army to begin with?
I had limited options.
Okay.
So
how did the Army bring you up to Bellingham?
I transferred from the 422 Rear Detachment in Nevada to the 81st Brigade in Washington.
Okay.
And so I ETS'd here and moved to Bellingham.
And did you travel overseas at all? Or?
No, I stayed domestic.
Okay.
So
Okay.
it was a good run.
Yeah. It was a good experience. Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, it was all right. It's a different culture.
Yeah.
But
And so after the Army, where'd you go from there?
I started working for a local horticulturist in town. I did that just for a few months. And then I found this older gentleman who owned a company called, Nature's Footprint. And he took care of worms, like red wiggler worms.
Okay.
And I found that.
Uh-huh.
And I did that for about a year.
Okay.
And then I kept farm hopping for several years.
And growing up, did you grow up with a family who would farm, garden, plant? What was your interest?
My mom gardened.
Okay.
So,
and were you excited about it even when you were younger? Or is this like a new interest or passion that came about? Or
I've always been interested in plants.
and
then I guess it just kind of, I liked growing plants.
So even as a kid, you were into it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not as much as an adult, though.
And so you worked for this guy for a year? And then after that, what brought you into the stage you're at now where you own your own land, right?
No, I rent.
rent.
I own my own farm business.
Okay.
So.
And how did you get into that? Like, what compelled you to start your own business?
Well, I was kind of in an unofficial mentorship. So I worked for a bamboo farm and managed that for 6 years. But while I was doing that, that's seasonal. So during that time, I was at 4 different farming operations. And he advised me to go and work for several different farms.
Okay.
And figure out what kind of farming that I liked.
Okay.
And then that's kind of went from there. Organic mixed vegetable is
and so from there,
to me.
Yeah, and so from there you decided that you wanted to rent your own land so you could grow. And what was the goal at that point? Was it just for yourself? Was it to sell? Was it like, what was the vision at that point?
Well, it's always been like hunger justice and to provide food. So I wanted to get into what I'm interested in is wholesale supply. So.
And who do you wholesale to?
Well, what started me was the food bank. So I contracted kale and beets for them for 3 years. And then now I just do beets. But that got me started. So.
And getting started, how did you get funding to rent the space? And
that was all me. That was all. So I did not take out a loan. I just worked.
Okay. And was there, how much land did you rent to start?
2.5 acres.
Okay.
So I started on.
And then did you have to purchase or buy a lot of equipment? Did you have to hire people or get volunteers to help you with it?
It's quite a bit of money up front because just the organic program alone is, close to $1,000 just to start up.
And what's the organic program? What is that?
WSA Organic. It's a certification program that makes sure it's voluntary, obviously, but you can use the organic label and it's like a vetting program and oversight for how you farm and using organic methods, non-treated seeds.
Okay. And why was organic gardening your thing, or farming your thing, I should say? Obviously organic is the way to go unless you want herbicides and pesticides and everything all over your, but why was organic something that you got into or were even aware of?
Well, the market, there's a lot of new farmers in
Uh-huh.
this area, new farm businesses. And if you're going, it's a little bit competitive. So you might as well be certified organic farm if you're going to
Okay.
be a supplier
Uh-huh.
and get into the markets in Bellingham specifically.
So it's easier to get into basically
Mm-hmm.
then. And so you said you're set up with the food bank.
Mm-hmm.
You do work with them. And who else are you? How many other businesses or organizations are you set up with?
Well, I'll probably continue to keep doing the food bank contract.
Uh-huh.
It's called Food Bank Fresh,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a private foundation that donates and contracts local farmers for
Mm-hmm.
certain crops.
Mm-hmm.
So it's pretty cool. And then I do wholesale to the food bank, or the food co-ops.
Okay.
I supply to a couple local restaurants. And then this season, I'm at the Puget Sound Food Hub, which is a big organic distribution center, and it moves food from like 5 different counties. So I'll be doing melons for them.
Oh, cool.
And then I do local CSAs for businesses.
Yeah, I saw that. Now, what was some of the first stuff? So you got 2.5 acres, and did you just like plant? You just had an idea of how much stuff you want to plant, and like how much? Like, I'm just curious about what was the process of like, okay, how much stuff do we plant? How many people do I need to hire? Where do I store all this stuff? Like, how is that all figured out? Is it just trial and error, or
no,
did you like?
I mean, it's experience. So
how much of that 2.5 acres got planted the first time around?
all of it.
All of it. Dang, that's a lot. And was it overwhelming and stressful, or were you?
Well, yeah.
I
think it's always a little. It's a little overwhelming, but it's rewarding seeing, a product.
And how many people did you have helping you at the start?
The first year, nobody.
Just you.
The second year, one person.
So wait, the whole 2.5 acres was you?
The first year, that was a terrible idea. Yeah.
Wow. How many hours were you working and doing all that?
I do 7 days a week during the season.
Wow, this must have been
I'm taking
long.
a day off. Last season I was able to take a day off.
Wow. And so when you plan all this, did you already have people that wanted it when it was ready? Or
yes,
you know what I mean?
I did. I got myself like you panic, right? Like, okay, I have all these licenses and I have a farm business, but nobody knows. Like, no one has any idea that I'm going to be doing this. So fortunately, I actually used my boyfriend's network. He is in the biking community.
Okay.
And I contacted his company and asked them if they would be interested in a CSA with the new farm business. And almost all of them said yes.
Oh, wow.
So that's kind of, and then a couple other bike shops participated. And then I was like, oh, I'll just ask all the business owners that I know. And they all participated. So
wow, that's
I
really
was
cool.
a farm.
How did you even know, though, how much to like charge so you can make sure you're not losing money? Did you just like pick a number? Or
I mean, I've done a lot of like, you do market research. You look at what scale are you at? I'm certified organic, which means my product is valued at a higher dollar price than conventional. What varieties am I growing? So it's if I'm only going to give a certain amount of items, it has to match kind of what a retail price of those items would be. So I decided to do, 8 to 12 items, which is a pretty full CSA. So I was in the competitive price range of other local organic farms.
Now, is there a reason that you rent versus buy?
Well, I'm still in my first 5 years of owning a business. So it's still it could have not succeeded.
That's a good point.
Definitely. And then, you need to establish a market and make sure you have those buyers, because you might be collecting, CSA money now, but have contracts that, you won't get paid until September. And you have to make sure that you follow through with that contract. If you don't follow through, like, you won't get paid. And then...
So are the contracts, I mean, you don't have to go in the specifics, but like, how do they work exactly? Do they say we want this much product and you have to deliver that much product basically by a certain time to get paid?
Well, it's kind of up to the scale you are, right? So if I'm small scale, which means I'm only going to plant X amount of, a certain type of crop. But if I have a really good market for it or a demand for it, I know all I need to, if that can be available during the entire growing season, or if it's like a fall or spring crop, I just plant more of to make sure it goes there. But it's up to the farmer. It's up to me, basically.
Now, as an organic farmer, when you have these contracts, like what happens if your crops somehow get ruined or destroyed or bugs eat them all up? Is there like some clause in the contract that's like if these bugs eat, or like how does that work?
That's a good question. There's substitution, definitely. So, for example, good example, I had a really bad back injury this last season, and I was doing beets for the food bank, so I was having a really difficult time meeting the field work that needed to be done. And so in the fall, I was able to substitute, like I did carrots and tomatoes and a couple other things. But ideally, you want to stick to what you have. So the options are substitution, or if you can afford it, look for it from another farm to ask them to supply it.
Okay. Do you have good connections with other organic farmers in the area?
There's this really good network. It's like a Whatcom farmers group, and it's like an email system. So pretty much most businesses in production, not just farms, like a producer's business can be on this list. And like we get it from here to Island County, down south. Yeah, a lot of people. So for anything, equipment, employment, land. So it's like a Craigslist for us local farmers.
How soon into starting your business did you approach the co-op? And how did that?
Immediately.
So right away.
First season.
And did you just walk in there and say, hey, I got a farm.
Yes.
Oh, wow. That's
cool.
For
all of my, I was supplying to 5 markets my first season, and I went there. I didn't call. I had all my certificates ready, and I said, a lot of them knew me through I worked for other farms. So it was like we were familiar with each other, but I told them I was now certified organic and had my own farm business that I was going to do. And immediately that year, I got a lot of local support.
Oh, that's good.
From local buyers.
So how do you, as an organic farmer, that's not traditionally spraying like herbicides and pesticides and fungicides and all this stuff on the crops, how do you maintain your crops and prevent them from getting eaten and destroyed? And have you lost any along the way?
Definitely cover crop. Crop rotation, companion planting. What's nice is when you rent a site, like I'm at Cloud Mountain Farm Incubator Center, there's in our lease agreement, we can't get weeds to be, go to seed or, you have to have cover crop because we have to maintain the soil and the biodiversity of the microorganisms. So I think it's really about crop rotation, obviously, and then adding, you have to add materials, you have to test the soil, you have to add lime, you have to do, compost or whatever method you
Do you get like deer trying to eat your crops at all?
I haven't, no.
Because in front of my house, the deer eat my plants all the time.
Oh, yeah.
So what's been the hardest part, would you say? So far, 5 years in
farming. This is my 4th year.
4th year of farming and just being a business owner in general. What do you find the most challenging or exhausting or stressful or irritating?
I don't really like doing quarterly taxes.
Oh my God, it's the worst.
To be honest,
all the paperwork and bookkeeping is a nightmare.
And so that's sometimes you have to leave sticky notes. Do this. For me, I would say the admin portion is not super easy.
Yeah.
But I do it. I guess I just don't like it.
Yeah. So do you have employees or are they volunteer? You have people that you hire that actually work for
last.
And how many do you have working for you currently?
Years. I just have one.
Just
weeder.
one still.
I hire one weeder a season.
Okay.
That's I figured it out what I needed.
And what's the plans for moving forward in terms of growth? Are you planning to get bigger?
Yes.
Rent more land or?
Well, this is an expansion year for my market, a big expansion year being with the Puget Sound Food Hub. So that's going to be, we'll see.
And what is that?
It's the food distribution.
Okay.
I'm going to be supplying melons to them. So a 1/4 acre is going to be just melons.
Okay.
So quite a few.
And do you have plans in the future to get a bigger plot of land or to rent bigger and go bigger?
My mom and I are planning on purchasing this year, that fall, 3 to 5 acres.
Oh, wow. That's exciting. And will you then still keep the land you're renting? No. Or are you just going to move it all there?
Probably for one more year. I can see myself being on this plot for at least 2 seasons. But if you get pasture land, it's pretty easy to certify. So we're just looking at 3 to 5 acres of pasture plot probably in the fall. And then maybe I could do not as many mixed, like my whole operation at the place that I'm at now, and transition a little bit. Or if I make it easier, probably just keep work on infrastructure at the the site that we buy, and then farm again my whole operation next year at Cloud Mountain again.
And so you've pretty much outgrown the spot where you're at now.
This is actually a new site. So this is my second site that I moved farms. So this is my first time at this site, actually. And
do you fantasize about being like this giant farm with like tons of workers and like tons of acres? Or are you just think you're always going to kind of keep it somewhat small? Or
I don't really. I'm kind of like a natural introvert, so a lot of people in the farming area is a little overwhelming, I think.
Having to manage all the personalities.
Yeah.
I'm an introvert as well, so I know how that feels. But yeah, it can be quite challenging to like manage all those people. So you think you're just going to keep it at a certain level then? And
I can see. I wouldn't probably. I mean, real time. I would say I would not want more than 3 to 5 crew members.
Okay.
At the most.
And what's going to be different about this plot of land compared to the one you're renting right now? I mean, I know it's going to be bigger. So
I'll own it.
Yeah. Is there going to be like more things you haven't grown yet that new crops are going to start growing, or
no?
Same stuff.
I pretty much
more.
have my market. I know what I like to grow, and I know what is like good for the CSA members. So it's just about. It's basically just changing sites, and then figuring out how many acres of the acres that we buy is going to be dedicated to farming and whatnot. So,
and the CSA boxes that you do it with just anybody who's interested, or is it just businesses that you're currently doing it with?
I do it with anyone who's interested, but it's just I just happen to know a lot of when you're like a local business owner, especially a farmer, you just like go to the coffee shop often. You just know all the other people who own the businesses in town. And it was just kind of a little easy, I guess, to ask.
And do you deliver them?
I do deliver.
Is it pretty exciting, like looking at everything you've built?
It is. It's like it's really time consuming, and it's probably not the best way to be spending my farming, but they're really fun. CSAs are awesome. And I'm like, no one else can put together a CSA.
You put them all together yourself, huh?
No, I'm like really picky.
Do you just have like a van or a truck you load up and go
a van? Yep. And I usually take pictures of them every week. I do 18 to 20.
Along the way, were there ever any moments where you thought, I don't know if I want to do this, or any moments where
like all the time. I don't want to do it. Why am I doing it? It's and then here's your food, and they get so excited, and you're like, okay, I guess I could do this for the rest of the season, and then I'm not going to do it again next year, and then you do it.
It's just overwhelming because you don't have a lot of free time, I bet.
No, but and
you do work another job as well, right?
I'm at doing preloading at UPS.
Yeah. So, is that full time?
No.
Okay,
that's just
like part time. Wow. Yeah. So busy.
But
so
it's fine. That's not even a thing though. It's just like
you load all those trucks and then you go work on a farm.
It's just 2 trucks.
Okay.
It's totally fine.
That's cool. And so do you advertise that the CSA boxes are available? I know on your Instagram, which I follow, but do you do it on the website, or do you promo it anywhere, or do you just rely on word of mouth?
Well, have you heard of Sustainable Connections?
Yeah, someone else mentioned that to me a couple of days ago.
Okay.
I have heard of it.
So they are really they make local producers and buyers. They don't make them, but they bring them together, and it's this really amazing marketing.
It's for like grants, leftover food and stuff, isn't it?
Not even leftover. It's just for like producers, local businesses. But there's this sorry, what was the question you asked me?
Oh, well, you're talking about Sustainable Connections, and if you advertise your CSA boxes anywhere.
So they do a CSA fair every single season.
Oh, okay.
So I did it last year. I'll be doing it again next month. So farmers go and set up at Boundary Bay Brewery.
Oh, wow.
And you can come and see what the farmers are offering.
Oh, wow. That's really cool. That's
it's
next
just called
month?
the CSA Fair.
March?
Yeah, in March.
March, do you know the date? This is at Boundary Bay.
It's the end of March.
This is like on a weekend they do it, like a Saturday or something?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, cool. And I saw on your Instagram, I think it was at Kendall, Washington. Where was it? You were setting up outside. Do you participate in a farmer's market too? Or?
Yes. So I'm in a nonprofit co-op. It's called Twin Sisters Market.
Okay.
And it's to supply to like the Everson, Deming, Kendall areas, which are all our food deserts. And so I think this year there's like 7 of us participating, and it's from June to October. And yeah, it's every weekend at both locations.
Oh, wow.
And so last year I worked 11 of the markets.
Oh, wow.
So
it's a lot of work loading everything up and hauling it all down there.
It is.
Yeah.
It
yeah,
is.
That's exhausting. Do you do the local farmers market here in Bellingham?
No, I'm not really into retail,
Uh-huh.
so I'm trying to
just stick with wholesale.
Yeah. CSA and wholesale. So, but Twin Sisters is the best market. So what they are doing is pretty incredible.
If people want to get your CSA boxes, how do they contact you or get signed up? How does that work?
Oh, usually I don't have a website set up or anything. It's kind of just
message you on Instagram?
Email, yeah,
or email you?
Email. But most people, I usually have the same people every year. So I don't meet a lot. I haven't been meeting a lot of new members. There's like a couple of new members each season.
Okay. And do you have a website too?
No,
just Instagram basically?
Well, it is a website that has a picture of my dog.
Tahoe?
Working on it. Yeah.
Super cute. I saw him eating carrots on your Instagram.
Yeah. The best.
Cool. Well, thanks so much for coming in here and doing the first podcast. It was a lot of fun. So if people want to get set up and get some CSA boxes, feel free to call you or get on your Instagram and message you and go from there.
Yeah.
Well, congrats on everything and that you've built so far. It's really exciting.
For having me.
Yeah. I know it's probably pretty stressful, but we'll have you back sometime too.
Oh, no.
This awesome.
This is cool.
All right. Thank you so much, Savannah. It was great. Yay.
Yay. We did it.